Hi guys, welcome to my shop. It's a complete disaster in here. It's still winter. We're coming out of it, thank God. Tomorrow's actually April 1st, but right now I think it's about 45 degrees outside. Um, so it's cold. I've been in here most of the winter, putting around, doing different things, and it's a mess in my shop. Got a car in here, trucks outside. Um, but this is where I do my stuff. I do my thing in here. It's never super clean because I'm always every day I've got some project going on. No matter whether it's I'm doing painting, sculpting, carvings, woodworking is a big thing for me. Um, I'm a professional builder by trade. Uh, Took this winter off completely. The whole winter. I finished in November with my last project for the year and said that's it. I'm getting older and it's the cold is really hard on my hands. It just they can't take that cold anymore. Even with gloves on, it doesn't matter. They just ache and hurt so bad. And I'm finally at that point where I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. I gotta keep my building to summer weather, which hopefully is going to be here real soon, and keep my winter stuff in the shop, in the house. So anyway, I thought I'd make a video. Don't want to bore you to death, but I thought I'd make a video on making frames for paintings. Um, After this one, I'll probably make a video for actually framing paintings. One of the my favorite and my friend's favorite frame designs that is a design I came up with. It's pretty unique. It's made 100% on table saw. A lot of fun to make, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. And I've done a lot of paintings that I've sold to friends and other people, and my friends. I like to give them free frames for their paintings. So and I've done that many times. And when I come up with a new frame that people love, I'm like, bring your painting over and I'll make one up for you guys. And recently I did quite a few of those this winter, and I'm gonna my next video, I think that's what I'm gonna do. This video, I'm gonna go ahead and make a frame, stretch it with canvas, show you how I do that, folding the corners, and I may even include in this one, or it may be a separate one, but I may include my canvas smoothing process that I go through. Alright guys, as I said, I'm gonna make up some canvas frames, and what I generally like to do is I bring home scraps from work, 2x material, just kiln dried, doesn't matter, whatever we got at work. It's over 2 foot, I generally will bring scraps home that I don't think I'm going to need at work. Use that. Otherwise I'd go out and I'd buy 2x8s, KD 2x8s. That's what I got here. This is I don't know, probably a 42 incher or so. There, it's 40. I've already ripped up one that I had. You can see that it's all waned up, ugly board. Will work absolutely perfectly for what I'm going to do. So start off with for this board being a 1x8, I like to keep my stretchers around inch to inch and a quarter by inch and a half. Anything bigger than that, in my opinion, is just a waste of money. It's too big. The canvas gets real heavy. I have a tendency to make rather large paintings, not huge paintings. I think the biggest one I ever did was 4 foot by, I don't know, 48 by 40 maybe, something like that. And it looks absolutely enormous when you put a frame on it. The only way I would make anything bigger than that is if it was a commission, and then I would, you know, just cut these to whatever I needed to make it up. So anyway, I got my table saw set to 1 1/8 inch, and I'm gonna go ahead and rip, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so there you go. I got six rips. I believe it was 6. 6 of them. And the next step will be putting a bevel on the 2x. We'll get to that in just a second. Alright guys, so what I did is I took those boards that I ripped, I just grabbed one of them and just made a line. I think you can see that pretty clear. This line tells me what I want to rip off. Got it. You want to have a bevel on your stretchers, and the reason is if you just laid this down like this, and your other stretcher came across, you stretched your canvas over this line right here, you got solid surface into where there's nothing. So I don't care how tight you get the canvas, every time you paint runs across this portion right here, it's going to leave a dark line because it's going to pull the paint out of the brush on that line because you're hitting an edge. I think you probably understand that. So what I'm going to do is make this rip. I've got the table saw blade set to 5 degrees right now. That may change because I don't know that that's exactly 5 degrees, and it doesn't have to be. As long as I come down about 1/4 and I run out about 1/4, it'll be good. All right, that's what we're going to do now. So basically, my rip fence is still set to 1 1/8 inch. So I definitely got to run it in closer to make that rip by 1/4. So I look at that right there. When I turn it up, I'm cutting the top. You probably can't see it, but I need more angle. So we're going to go from 5 to 15. All right, we're at 15. Looks like that'll be perfect. Let's give it a shot. Oh, I need my push stick. Always use a push stick. And always lock your fence down. Way too much angle. We're gonna go back to 10. All right, we're at 10. Now that is just about perfect. See where I'm at? I'm right there. A little less than a quarter. It's probably 3/16. Absolutely perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and rip these. All right, that one worked out pretty good. Another thing I'd like to tell you, if you're new to doing your own stuff, your own woodworking, this edge right here is sharp. When you're running it through the saw, I have the tendency to run my thumb right along that. And I can't tell you how many slivers I've got in my finger. So a lot of guys will wrap like duct tape on their thumb when they're doing this type of thing. I just move my thumb. Do one of these numbers. That way I'm not on that edge. I don't get slivers. But sometimes I forget and I get a sliver. It ain't even always a sliver. It's sharp enough that it's like a freaking paper cut. It can hurt too, let me tell you. All right, let's cut the rest. All right, so I got them all ripped down. I got to bend down for the camera, but I want you to get an angle with the table saw. I got the blade set way too high right now. I'm not going to cut it like that. I did that so I could get it back to perfect 90 degrees. And it helps. The higher up you get it, you can put a square on it. I have a digital angle finder. I set it on here. It's magnetic. I set it on here on the table. Set it to 0. And I just turn it up. It magnetically holds to the blade, dial it into 90. I'm perfect. So that's what I've already done that off camera. So what I did was I made marks on the the beveled side. So here you can see this is the beveled side. I make a mark on there just so that when I set my boards on there, I'm not going to make a mistake and cut it on its edge or something. That's about it. You can do this on a chop saw. You can use a miter box. Whatever you got. But you need 45 degrees. And I built this jig, I don't know, 10 plus years ago. It works phenomenally. Pretty simple jig to make. Maybe I'll do a video on that. If you guys want one, put it in the comments and I'll do a video on how to make this jig. So anyway, let's cut some 45s. Alright guys, here's another tip. I like to take thin scraps of stuff. This is just a piece that was just sitting on the floor. I'm going to take that. It's maybe a 1/16, probably a little less, which is pretty much perfect. I'm going to stick it right under this end. Reason for that, it's going to give me just a little bit of a back bevel. So when I cut this 45 and I cut the other ones, and I do that on every one, when they come together, even if it's dead not perfect, when you put them together, it almost always wants to leave a gap at the top. Almost always. So I put that under there. You don't want it too thick. 16th is probably too thick. I mean, I don't know. It'd be close to being too thick. You could try it, but like I said, I got just this little thin thing. Stuck it under there. We'll see what happens, but it should be good. Now I just line the corner up with the blade. Oh, I gotta lower the blade. I don't ever like to cut with the blade up that high. I want the blade to literally be just a touch above what I'm cutting, the thickness of what I'm cutting. And there's reasons for that, I believe, and I've heard arguments against this, but I believe it saves your blade. You get a cleaner cut, and if you have an accident, the depth of the cut on your finger or your hand or whatever is going to be a whole lot less. That blade's up here and your hand goes into it, you lost your hand. Trust me, you don't want your hand going into that blade ever. Even if it's just a little bit, you don't want it. All right, let's do this. Alright guys, there's two of them. I just put a 45 with a minute bevel on it for two. We ripped 6. I'm going to be able to make 3 canvases out of what I ripped here. 40-inch 2x8, 3 canvases. So I just did the one side. Come over here, get rid of this stuff. Grab my tape measure. I'm sorry, I left it over here. Alright, so if I went 24 with this, we'd end up with 15 3/4. So I think I'm going to just go like 23. So we'll go 23 inches. So what I like to do, the first one, I don't really worry about. I look at my line, you can look down it, buzz it off. And this little trick works on chop saw also. So if you're cutting these at 45 on a chop saw, put that under the cut end, it'll do the same thing. Alright, there's one. Alright, now, this since we just cut the 45 for the other way, remember the bevel goes this way, right? It's coming up. This is the flat on it. We've got to cut this way. So we're back to the other side. Make this cut, line it up, just eyeball. Now we're going to come around, put it back on, make sure your angles oppose each other. Stick your board under there. Give it an eyeball. Make this cut. If you see a roundness on your end, it's real close. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm not right on the point. I want it to come to a point. Even though I'm going to sand it down. It just makes it easier if you get it right to that point. So, on this jig, the line here is the actual blade width. So all I got to do is line it up with the plywood and then give it a little bit, because I've got just a little bit of a rounded edge there. I want to take that off. So that's what I'm going to do now. And no, a little bit more. There we go. All right. There's two of our stretchers. And they come together perfectly. So now what we want to do, take our next one. We've already made that cut. So what we do is we take our long piece, bring it up till the point meets, just like this. See that? Then right where these two come together, we'll make a mark. And I know that's the length I want my 45 to be at. Set this on there. Generally what I like to do is I'll eyeball it. I'll get it real close, but I'll be a little shy of the cut so I don't mess up and overcut it. And where's my little shimmy crap? Fortunately, I got a bunch of them on the floor right here. All right. Where were we? We're right here. Pretty simple with this jig to get that perfect. I got it perfect the first time. And the way to check it is put the two together, back to back. Get the points to come together right there. Feel it right there. That's money. Set them aside. Do the same exact thing with the shorter stretcher. Actually, this one has not been cut yet. So let me go ahead and make this cut and then we'll do that. Perfect. Cut it close with this one, so we're good. All right, got it lined up. Need a little more. There we go. Check them out. They're money. Alright guys, this is pretty much the easy part. Just gluing the thing together, finalizing, and then sanding. I glue up one edge, spread it out with my finger. I don't care about this outside corner. I care about the inside corner. I want the inside corner to match perfectly. When you put two 45s together and you screw them together, they tend to shift. I try to keep that inside corner together as close as I can. My favorite screw to use, this is 1.5 inch, maybe 2 inch trim head screw. You can find them in any hardware store out there. So you buy trim head screws, and then you got to make sure you got the bit that fits them. They're very forgiving. They tend to not split the wood, but you still want to stay as close to the center as possible. Hold the two together firmly. Set one screw. There's one corner. I'll come back and put a screw in on this side after I've put the whole thing together, generally. The other one, the glue is very important. It holds the stuff together for pretty much forever. Here I'm just getting the screw started, making sure something ain't right here. See that? I had that board upside down. Alright, hold the two together. Make sure you're good on the inside corner. And you want to ease the screw. When it goes through here, you don't want to be into it. You want to just ease it into the second piece. Otherwise, they're going to shift on you. And then you're going to have a big problem. Alright, flip it around. I need another screw here. This time we're going to put glue on both edges. Now a lot of times using the KD 2x, they'll warp. They're not perfect. Don't worry about it. Start with your first corner. Sure that inside corner is pretty good. Alright, there's that one. You're always going to have this. You see the gap? You're always going to have that. That's good. Pull it in. Get that inside corner where you want it. Do another screw. Alright. Pretty good. You can see the corners came together pretty good. Even if they aren't perfect and there's gaps, you don't really care. This is all getting covered with a canvas. It doesn't matter as long as it's going to hold itself together. So now I'm going to go, I need 4 more screws. And I'm going to go on the, so that I have 2 screws on each corner. That way it can't rotate. So I went this way on this one. Now I'm going to go this way. one of the things I like to do, I didn't do it there, I got lucky, but I like to look where the orientation of this screw's going this way, and it's a little lower than half. So when I go on this one, I'm going to go a little higher than half, because I don't want these two to run into each other if possible. I always angle the screw into the meat. By that I mean I don't want the screw to come out here. If that happens, pull it out, you'll have to sand it. It won't matter because it'll be underneath the canvas, but you want to try to avoid that. Try to get the screw to not hit the other screw and stay inside the meat of the wood. Alright. That one I think it touched the other screw, but it didn't stop it from going all the way in. Perfect. Alright. The only thing left to do now, sand it. Got my sander right here. I think it's plugged in. Got no sandpaper on it, but I got sandpaper right here. I don't like to go with an aggressive grit of sandpaper on these. You don't need it. All you're trying to do is ease the edges on this outside edge, and then I just flatten down the flat part of it. That's about it. There's not much to it. So I'm going to ease the edge down. You want to ease these too, because that point right there when you stretch your canvas is going to cut your canvas. So you want that rounded over. Alright, I did 3 sides on that. Now, you might not have a sander. I'll do the last side. Show you just how easy this is. That one's good. Hopefully my arm's not in the way. Perfectly good. Good. That's about it. Now I'm going to roll it over, and I still don't want those sharp edges on the corners. So I'm going to do the same thing on the back, just to make sure I've got rounded edges and rounded corners. Inside doesn't matter. Just this outside. Glue doesn't matter. Perfectly good, perfectly good. That's good. That's good. Check your corners, every corner. Make sure you didn't miss one. That's it. The only thing left to do now is stretch a canvas over it.